So thank you, James and Michael, for joining me. How has your company culture changed during the pandemic? Give me the good, the bad, the ugly, and the unexpected. Starting with you, James.
Well, in a way, it hasn't changed at all. I think it's been sort of tested. And a friend of mine in lockdown said, this doesn't create your character being in lockdown, but it's certainly revealing of it. And I think the same applies to company culture. We're a family business, and it's been very challenging. But I've really been impressed by how people have stepped up. So we've suddenly gone from 3,500 people working mainly in offices to everyone working from home in 2 weeks. And if we'd said that was a project that we were going to undertake, it would have taken ages. So I think the speed with which people have done things has been really impressive. It has been testing at times. I think some people have found it extremely stressful. But overall, I've been really, really impressed by how people have responded.
Michael?
And I think from the culture point of view, if you have a deep culture in the business and you have kind of a DNA of the business, what we found is it's just accelerated it and brought it to the fore. And it's something that's actually held us together. So we've seen, as well as the speed and the adoption of technology, the collaboration, the breaking down of silos, the empathy that people have with each other, and just a new informality has really worked well. So we are really kind of excited. That's one of the good things that's come out of this, and something that we really want to hold on to as we move forward.
Do you think it's changed your relationship with your employees and your clients?
100%, absolutely. So every conversation that I have, be it clients or people, it starts with, how are you? How's your family? How are you feeling? It is far more informal and caring. I also think the fact that you see into people's houses also is quite revealing and can be quite fun. And also how people are dressing much more informally as well. I've worn tracksuit bottoms and shorts for the last 3 weeks. I haven't worn a pair of trousers in ages.
And nobody knows.
And now everyone knows.
See, I'm secretly wearing a tie, so I know I'm going to work. I just come up here and I could be a Sunday morning. So yeah, I think that's interesting. I think I love seeing people a little window into people's worlds, and I think that is very revealing, and it humanizes everyone, I think, and I think that brings us all closer together, which is a good thing.
James, you said many of your employees have found it challenging, and there are issues around people's mental health. How have you stopped fear from infiltrating your culture?
Well, I suppose you've got to begin with yourself, and you've got to try and stop fear infiltrating yourself, because if you're the leader, you've got to give off a certain energy and empathy. And I think thinking about what is within your control is always helpful in this sort of situation. And the fear here is twofold, isn't it? It's the health and well-being of people. No one feels entirely secure in their own selves at the moment, and also the fear of what's going to happen to your livelihood, your business. So lives and livelihoods are sort of at risk here, and that's really serious. So this is a different level of fear to what we'd be typically used to. And I think being incredibly sort of empathetic is important, and to listen to people a lot, and to talk to people openly a lot and hear what they have to say. And I think that's the beginning of a process of then building a stronger team. But it is a difficult time.
How are you listening and communicating when you have a dispersed team?
Well, that's really difficult. And although it isn't, I've seen more of my management, senior leadership team on Zoom and on Teams like this than I would in a normal week. But what you've got to also create, I think, is a sort of less formal ways of engaging with people. Around what's the equivalent of having a coffee, or being around the water cooler or whatever. So you can have sort of less formal chats as well. So I think it's also interesting that clients will pick up the phone if you ring them up. Because a lot of people are at home, and it's going to be quite lonely if you live by yourself and you're in your apartment and you're working, and you can get through to people in ways that before you couldn't.
Michael?
Yeah, so I think when we started on this, it was about putting some formal structure around all of these things, which now 3 weeks in have actually started to gain kind of behavioural change and become the norm. So, for example, the same as James, my leadership team, we have a 9 o'clock Zoom meeting every single morning. We used to do that once a week. We now do it every morning. And I know lots of the teams across the business are doing it. And the over communication is really important. So every twist and turn as we've gone on this journey. So when there's another government announcement, or when we as a business want to communicate, I'm communicating to all of the staff. And we've done it in lots of different ways. So I and my team have joined all of the different team meetings across the 1,000-odd people to do Q&As. We've done a town hall. We did our first virtual town hall where we had 700 people live and then about another 300 downloaded it afterwards, which was, it works. Wouldn't say it was the most slick thing, but it works well. And it's those the formalities you put in place are really, really important. One of the things we did at the very beginning as well was we created a guide to manage remote working. So we were very prescriptive to our people and our managers, people managers, about how this is going to change, and some tips, guides, etc., on how to make it easier.
I mean, you talked about over communication, but do you think there's a risk of people becoming zoomed out, you know, with so many video meetings every single day? And, you know, a lot of people don't feel very comfortable in this situation.
Yeah, I think, so we're in week 3, at the end of week 3 of lockdown. The first 2 weeks, I think the adrenaline, this is all new, we've got to get it right, was incredibly intense. I was doing 12, 13-hour days on camera with no breaks, and it was really, really difficult. And I think now we're in week 3, we've definitely seen people are picking up the phone a lot more, which is great. And people are taking more breaks. So one of the things that we're encouraging, take a lunch break, take a coffee break, make sure there's distance between your computer with your screen and the rest of your house. You know, try and get some separation between home and work. So I think as we move forward, it's becoming a bit calmer, and people are also being a lot more considerate now about working with children at home and having to do homeschooling, which of course is a massive pressure.
Mm-hmm. James, do you feel you're taking a different approach to mistakes and to productivity levels during this pandemic?
Well, I think the thing that's really important is to move quickly at the moment and to make adjustments quickly. You know, it's all about being adaptable. And when you're moving quickly, you're going to make some mistakes. But I think the bigger mistake is being slow or being sluggish in your response. So, yeah, I mean, I would expect mistakes to be made. But on the productivity side of things, yeah, we're in a cyclical business in recruitment anyway, and this has just triggered a big recession. Or you know, there was one underway, I felt, but now it's really happening, and we're all very aware of that. And we really celebrate people's successes, and we really want to continue to reward people who succeed financially. So although the business might be under financial pressure, as most businesses are, we want to make sure that the people who are productive, the people who are keeping the company going, are properly and fairly remunerated. So we really make sure we do that.
I'd love to finish with a practical tip from each of you for other business leaders, and also a prediction of how you see this panning out. Michael?
I think it's make sure that everyone has a morning commute. That might be a walk around the garden. It might be your 1 hour exercise a day that you're allowed out, but have a morning commute, because that sets your day up really well. And as for looking into a crystal ball, I mean, I think we're going to be in lockdown till definitely the end of May, and this is going to be an up and down, kind of lockdown, semi-lockdown, opening up, back into lockdown for the rest of the year. And we are just going to have an economic impact that's going to last for years, unfortunately.
James?
I heard the other day that crisis is the enemy of inertia, and I like that thought. And I think everyone in business should use this as an opportunity to discover hidden talent in their organization. You know, give people new challenges, try people out in new roles. And I've already done that with incredibly exciting results. So look for hidden talent in your organization. As for what next, who knows? But I'm sure that this particular phase will pass. And I think it's an opportunity now to reorganize your business, recalibrate your business, repurpose your business using technology in particular. So thinking forwards is something I'm also encouraging.